so we can get started. Okay, so for anyone that doesn't know me, my name is Sydney Haines. I have been doing Young Living for actually almost 3 years now. So I'm a seasoned veteran. I kind of feel like I am actually though. And I am a silver leader. I've actually been at the rank of silver for 2 years. So I'm proud silver stuck. And every day growing to the rank of gold, which is not that far away, I feel like. So that's exciting. More information about me. I have 2 dogs, Gideon and Pinecone. I named Pinecone obviously because I'm super weird. And also I am totally open to have any open and honest conversation with you about emotions that you're feeling that pertain to the business. I'm a Enneagram 2, so I love all that emotional stuff because I just want to help you through it all the time. So this call is going to be about 20 and 30, which if you haven't heard about that, I wanted to give a quick intro about it before my friend Caroline talks about her experience with it. But I actually just started 20 and 30 technically on the 1st of this month. But 20 and 30 is where you sign up at least 20 people within 30 days. That's the goal, right? And does anyone think that's a pretty lofty goal? Does anybody get like 20 signups every single month? Not me. So I looked at this goal and said, wow, that seems kind of wild because I normally get like 2, but why the heck not? I have nothing else. So the hardest part of 20 and 30 is actually not really the 30 days. It's more the 2 weeks before. So even though it's a 4-week goal, it's a 6-week commitment where you have 2 weeks of prep time. And obviously, all of this is totally up to your own discretion. There's this group called the Crown Collaborative that leads you through every single thing, which I love. I love having like day 1, do this, day 2, do this. But obviously you can do whatever you want with it. So I think that no progress is bad progress, but the outline of it is for 2 weeks, you talk to 75 people every day, 75 new people. So the first day, I remember calling Brandon, I was like, that's not real, right? Day 1 is 75 people. Day 2 is 75 new freaking people, you guys. Day 3 is 75 more new people, and the days before don't count in your new 75. And I remember thinking that sounds like insane. I was like, do I know like 1,000 people? I don't freaking know. And so I know some people on my team that had to do some prep work of like adding some friends to their friends list that they maybe knew but weren't like friends with at the time, you know, because you have to be prepared for that. And actually it was really amazing, and I won't talk too much about this yet, but the 2 weeks before that were the worst for me in the beginning ended up being one of my favorite parts because I was actually we didn't talk about oils at all, connected with each other. And I was just saying, how are you doing? I know a lot of people are suffering during COVID, and we talked about their families and where they live now, you know, like there's plenty of people I haven't actually caught up with in a really long time. And so those really intentional conversations placed a lot of really solid seeds for classes that I was having during the 30-day process where I was getting signups. So what is today? Is it Monday? I don't know. The 13th? So I started on the 1st with having my classes set up and inviting all those people to classes. And now I'm on the 13th out of the 30 days for myself. And I'm going to talk more about my experience later. But I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew what 20 and 30 was as far as a commitment, so that you know what you're committing to instead of just like, you know, being like, oh, I didn't know it was going to be this hard. I'm telling you, it's a time commitment, probably 1 to 2 hours a day. But I actually already know someone who I mentioned earlier who through it, and she had a lot of really awesome insights when I was talking to her about it. And so I just wanted her to share her experience. So take it away.
You're talking about me, right?
Yes, you.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, I am Caroline. For anyone who doesn't know me, I see a lot of familiar faces on here, though. This is a big call. This is really intimidating, but really awesome to see all of you guys on here. So, yeah, I first heard about 20 and 30 about like in the middle of May because Jennifer Edge, I'm not sure if she's on here or not, but she sent over a podcast. The podcast is called From Anxious to Able, and it's another Young Living person, not in our team, but another leader who did this challenge and just kind of shared about it. And so I listened to that podcast, and when she first sent that over, I was like, yeah, freaking right. Like, what are you talking about? 20 and 30. Like, that just doesn't even make sense to me. So I listened to the podcast, and in it, the girl, I think her name was Michaela, she just outlined everything that she did. And then from there, I went into the Facebook group that Sydney was talking about, Crown Collaborative. And it just got me really fired up. And I kind of got into this mode of like, I should just go for this because wherever I land is going to be better than like what I'm getting right now. I have been doing this business for a while, so I can tend to really, really easily get stuck in like management and leadership mode with my team because that is something I really love. I really love connecting with my team and helping them and serving them, but I can get really stuck there and then not show up for myself and my own success in my business and not focus on enrollments, which maintaining your personal enrollments is like what you need for growth to keep breaking up no matter where you're at. So I knew that it would be a really, really good push for me that I needed to do. So I did the 2 weeks of prep work as well in May and then started on June 1st. And I'm going to look at my notes because Sydney, thankfully, sent me some questions to keep me on track. Otherwise, I would just like squirrel all over the place. But I kind of already touched on why I wanted to do it. I wanted some massive energy shift within myself. My business has been blessed during this crazy year and has been growing, and I've seen amazing growth in my leaders. And so I wanted to show up for my own personal growth and not just rely on like the people under me to keep like building my business. Like, I don't think that's fair. So I wanted to grow myself personally and bring in more enrollments and have fresh energy for a new leg. And then the next question was, what was the most challenging part? So one thing that I did, because the girl on the podcast recommended this, was I shared it very openly on social media on June 1st. Said, hey, I'm going for 20 enrollments, and people on Instagram don't even know what an enrollment means, you know? So really like breaking that down and kind of showing an inside glimpse into my business and where I was at with everything. And that was a huge challenge for me because just like putting it out there, like, I'm going to do this really big thing and I might fail. And like, that would suck if I fail in front of all you guys where I just put this out there. So I think that was the biggest challenge, but honestly, it ended up being such a blessing because I had so many more cheerleaders than I expected, obviously from our team, because our team is amazing and that's just like ingrained in our culture, but from random like Instagram people who came out of the woodwork to say, this is awesome, you can do it, because I just learned that people love watching someone else pursue something, and they love seeing people go for goals. And so that was kind of a pleasant surprise, even though I was like terrified to do that. So if anyone decides to do 20 and 30, I definitely recommend putting it out there. Don't be shy about it. And then at the end of the month, be like, oh, hey, I'm doing 20 and 30. I need 18 more people. Let's go. Like, do it from the beginning and just put it out there. My favorite part of the challenge was there was a real priority on just fun. In the podcast, something that she did that I like stole her idea from is she did a welcome dance on Instagram every single time someone signed up. So I started doing that. I asked someone, as soon as they signed up, I asked for their favorite Disney song, usually grabbed my cat or my mom's dog or my husband or whoever I was with and made them do like a really, really awkward, embarrassing 15-second little dance with me. And that was super fun. And then I also did like the Post-its on the wall and wrote their name on it every time someone signed up and just made it a party. And that was really cool because kind of just like as a reminder to myself that this business can be a party. Like, we have the coolest opportunity ever and it can be so much fun. It does not have to be hustle, 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 grind, grind, grind. Like that's great, obviously, but like it can be really fun, and that is totally okay to make it fun. And so that sort of reminder, I think I'll be doing welcome dances for the rest of my Young Living career now on, because it was just so much fun. And then Sydney touched on this, but being really intentional, especially in that prep time before the challenge started. 75 freaking people a day is a lot, but I formed the coolest relationships from that. I did most of mine on social media, so a lot of it's people I've never met that I'm not seeing in person right now, so getting to just catch up and get to know people for the first time too was really cool. I love that intentionality, because now I have like those relationships that I can still go back to now as I continue to prospect just past June. And then, okay, so my results. So I did not enroll 20 people. I enrolled 6 people. And I could blame that on a lot of things and talk about June, but I'm like, that's not the point. I am super, super happy with my results, because it is my highest enrollment month ever. In the past, I had enrolled 5 people was the most I had ever gotten in 1 month. And so my mindset is just kind of like that's awesome. 6 people is really awesome. They are 6 really fired up, excited people. And so I am really, really happy about that, because just putting my mindset into the like mode of enrollments is what shifted it. Like if I didn't say at the beginning of the month I'm going to do 20 and 30, maybe I would have gotten 1 enrollment, but because I would set this kind of big pie in the sky goal, it made me run, and where I ended up is a really, really great place. So I highly recommend, even if 20 sounds super overwhelming, or 20 sounds easy and you think you can do that because people do it all the time, however it sounds, I just recommend really setting that goal and going for it and running, because wherever you end up will still bring growth to your business. The last question is kind of what I learned from it. And the biggest thing is just where you put your energy, you will attract people at the energy level that you have. And so last month I enrolled 6 people. All of them got on ER. Many of them have reordered again. 1 started doing the business, already started enrolling and hit star in June. So it still brought this massive, massive growth to my business. I got to help other ladies hit star by stacking them. I built my husband's leg, which is another income stream for us. So I'm honestly kind of blown away. I don't have any feeling of oh, well, I failed this, because I truly do see it as something that shifted my business and shifted my mindset to now I want to continue that focus on enrollments and continue just that energy and making things fun. So it still was a huge, huge game changer, and definitely recommend doing it if you are interested. If you're hearing this and this sounds scary as hell, but I should probably do it, then I think that you should. So that is what I got. Hopefully there was something good in there, and back to you, Sydney.
Was there something good in there? You're ridiculous. It was all so good. We're going to have Q&A at the end, so if you have specific questions for me or Caroline. Did I say Carolyn earlier?
Because I didn't even notice, because I never notice that anymore. So.
Okay, good.
Good, I don't care.
Because I know that you're Caroline, but I only have one Carolyn in my life, so really I was I know what your name is. Okay, so I really loved, and I know this is so specific, but I love that you made them Disney themed songs and you let people pick, because I just thought that was amazing. I've just been kind of picking any hyped up song, and that's a big deal for me. I know you guys don't actually know me very well, but I'm a terrible dancer. I'm so bad that my husband is such an encouraging guy, honestly, and he will never tell me that I look bad or I sound bad or anything, but he genuinely tells me not to dance. That's how bad it is. So the fact that I keep showing up and just dancing, I'm really dancing my heart out. If you don't follow me, then go look at my personal page. It's not good, but I'm still showing up. So I think people like when you're genuine like that. Obviously, I don't have a lot of I love that Caroline, you were able to like contribute a lot of like hindsight. I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done like this, because obviously I don't have that yet because I'm in the middle of it. But you guys, I actually kind of was the opposite of her in the way that she was like, my builders are doing so well, I need to contribute to this growth. I feel like my business has been on a decline for about probably a year. Actually, I hit silver a couple months ago. And that was because a couple of my girls were running for rank. But since then, like my OGV has been consistently around, I'd say eight. And it's not because we're not trying. It's just because we haven't had a lot of new energy coming in. And you know that contributes a lot to growth. So I actually looked at it as like, if I need to grow my business, then it's on me to get new energy. And I know how easy it is for all of us, like not just me, to look at our team and think like, well, if this would just happen, then it would be different, right? We have like a really limited mindset, and instead of focusing on like what we can do, we focus on what's not happening. And I think it's really important to put that responsibility on yourself and say, I can't control other people, right? I can't control who my signups are, but I can control the fact that I'm going to reach out to new people. Because if you're telling yourself that there's not enough people to sign up, you should check like the census of people who aren't enrolled in Young Living yet, because it's a lot. It's a lot. And people need these solutions. So that's kind of why I decided to do it, just because there was such a lack of growth. And I also really want to be looking for new business builders too, obviously, right? Can you guys hear me? Yes? Okay. I know there's like crazy noises in the background, and I didn't know if that was super obvious. It's like guys playing Smash Bros. So it's like the ultimate form of loudness. Okay. And then the next question, what's been the most challenging part for me so far? Probably actually, okay, there's two things. So I love talking to people, right? But when I'm like talking to them and it's like such a quality conversation, they're telling me about their kids and their marriages, and just like, I don't know how these people are opening up to me like out of nowhere. And then I'm like, oh, by the way, I'm having a class. Like, I just feel so awkward inviting them, because I don't want them to think, in my mind, it's one of those things where you're like, what if they think I'm only talking to them because I want to invite them? You know what I mean? But that's not true, obviously. Like, I do want to have these conversations, and I have them all the time, but it's just like me being nervous about what they think about me for being in network marketing, I guess, which is a total mindset thing, and something I've probably been working through for all these 3 years. That in addition to like every time I post, and yes, the classes are all my classes so far have been one-on-one classes. I'm going to talk more specifically about that in a second. But whenever I get a sign up, like number 1 dance, and then I'm like, only 19 more to go. Do you know how that sounds? That sounds like 19 is a lot, Sydney, and you're like, oh, only this much to go. But that's really how I'm trying to focus on it, because if my mindset is, oh my gosh, there's 19 more and it's already the 13th, you know, then I won't have enough like confidence to keep going to get the 20. So I know, actually, I just got to sign up after I said that. I was like, oh, a 19. And I was like, only 18 more. So that was perfect. But I'm going to talk really quick about classes, because the reason that Brianne asked me to co-host this call was because I had a class this past weekend, guys, and I almost started crying, like in front of people, because I had like, I think I followed up with half of the 1,000. So I followed up with about 500. A lot of them said they couldn't come, thanked me for inviting them though. And then I had like 40 RSVP. And you guys know how this is, right? You have 40 RSVP, and then you start the class, and guess who shows up? Your freaking mom. So this happens to me all the time. I'm not kidding at all. So when all 40 showed up, it was 35, sorry. And the other 5 wanted to come to my class the next morning. I literally like almost had tears in my eyes, because I was like, what is this life? You guys actually like me? You want to commit? This is wild. So I think that a lot of that was probably because I did a pretty good job of following up with them in the way that I said, hey, I'm having class on Friday, and I'm giving away a diffuser. Would you like me to invite you? So the diffuser is like $35, which I don't know if I do that like every week, but once a month to get 30 people to show up to my class and not just my mom, yes, I would do that every month. And then I had a class on Saturday morning set up. So if anybody ditched out last minute on Friday and was like, just invite me to the next one, I was like, actually, the next one's tomorrow morning. Are you free? And they were like, I guess so. And I just like put them in the same giveaway pile as the Friday night. So it was like a weekend giveaway type thing. And so in total, I had around 40 people show up to my classes this past weekend. And from that, I've had 2 signups and 7 more people asking me about the starter kit. So that's a pretty solid number. And it was a lot of quality inviting. And I did talk to them in the 2 weeks prior. So it was almost like we had a conversation. And then when I invited them to the class, it wasn't awkward because we had just talked, like literally recently. And so then when they showed up, I was like, you guys. And I literally told them, I was like, you don't know how many times people don't show up when they say they're going to. And I was like, this just means so much to me. Which brings me to one of my other points. Whenever you're wondering what the best way to take is, because there's so many options for this business, right? Should I do giveaways? Should I have online classes or in-person classes or whatever? The best advice I heard, and I think I was listening to, who's the Royal Crown Diamond that's kind of scary? Melissa Pepping. And I think so. She's the one that created Savvy Minerals, if you're not familiar with her. But she literally grew her business to Royal Crown Diamond in a town of like 70 people. She like increased. So what's my excuse? I'm like, Portland's so small. It's like 6,000. No, Melissa Pepping had 70. So there's no excuse for me. But she talked about the fact that she was actually stuck at silver. And she said that the one thing that changed her business was being herself. And I was like, okay, that feels like the most obvious thing ever, you know? And then she went on to talk about like, you know, you kind of have someone that you are like almost admiring in the business. And so you do things similar to them. Or you might like see a Royal Crown Diamond that you're like, oh my gosh, I love that idea. Let's do that. And then it almost like becomes your mindset towards work. And I kind of felt like the way I was in Young Living was like very excited, very like over the top optimistic. And I mean, I think I'm pretty optimistic, but I'm also mostly just like emotional. So part of me was like, why am I not being honest about how I feel in my business all the time? And the most interactions I've ever had on a post was when I was like, you know what, my sales have been down recently and that sucks, but I'm just going to keep going. And there were so many people that were like, that's amazing, good for you, whatever. When normally I have like, you know, my mom liking my post. So that's what I would probably encourage you guys to do is just like, I know be yourself is like such a broad term and it's so like, okay, Sydney, this isn't new stuff, but like literally whatever that means for you. Like if you're like someone who loves oh, Sammy, what's that game you play where you have you know what I'm talking about?
Is it Animal Crossing?
Animal Crossing. If you play Animal Crossing and you're like, I know this is kind of a weird part of my life. You don't know how many freaking people on Facebook are playing Animal Crossing with you. You guys could visit each other's islands. I don't know. Can you do that? I feel like you could. Like, just get creative with it because there's parts of you that I think that we kind of suppress at the risk of someone like judging us for being ourselves. And of course, like whenever you're like being vulnerable, it's scarier because that's when people can hurt you the most, right? But it's in those times that we actually make really realistic, like really real connections. And instead of it all being surface level and me being like, yeah, sure, I'm happy all the time. Instead, I might want to be more like, yeah, actually Valor's my favorite oil. And it's not just because it smells good. It's because I have literal crippling anxiety sometimes. And people are going to be like, oh yeah, I have that too. Even if it's just in a DM, because people don't want to say that out loud, right? So I would just say being honest and being yourself is probably the best advice that I have, but definitely the thing that I have enjoyed most with this process is connection. And I can only do that through having those honest conversations, one, with being myself, but two, with giving people the opportunity to do the same. and connecting with that 1,000 people, it was so wild. I was just expecting everyone, and Sammy, actually, she's in it right now, and she was like, so many people thought it was like spam because you were just like, hey, how have you been? And they were like, are you a robot? Why would you ask me that question? Because people just aren't used to being cared about for no reason, you know? So even just taking the time to make someone feel like seen and heard is worth it, even if you don't get a sign up, because that's what like people do when they care about people. And we're not in the business of sales, we're in the business of connections. Because even if I don't make a sale and I make someone feel like they were needed that day, or like I made someone feel like they like their opinion mattered, or reaching out to them, like you don't know how much that means to people until maybe even later. But like Caroline said, she said like people were like really encouraging even if they weren't signing up. I've had that already. It was actually I thought it was so sweet. I've had a couple of people reach out and be like, I just love that you're dancing. And I'm like, you're the only one. No, but a lot of people were like, it's so cool that you're going for this goal. And yeah, I'm really afraid that I'm not going to reach it. And yeah, I'm really afraid that I'll get to the end and like, I'll be, you know, it'll be like 15 and I'll be like, yeah, I guess that's good, but I had 5 more. You know, I'm really critical of myself. But in the end, I know that it's my mindset that matters the most. It's not like how I appear to other people. That's more for like accountability for me, honestly. But it's really about like how I feel about myself and like how I'm showing up in my business with what mindset I have. And that's pretty much just what I learned from the results so far, is just that mindset's everything. Because I can't tell you how many times I've went to a class, and this is super honest, and I promise you that I'm not pessimistic most of the time. But sometimes, guys, I am like in a mood where I'm just not feeling very confident at all. But I had this class scheduled 2 weeks ago, and I have to show up. And my first thought is, I don't even want to have it because no one's going to come, you know? And because they didn't come before. And I don't want to have this class because even if people come, they're not going to sign up because they never do. Like literally, those are the thoughts that go through my head. And it's not like, I don't think it's a bad thing to have those thoughts, because I don't think thoughts are really something that we can control, but replacing them with affirmations or things that are true are so important. So whenever I'm thinking a thought of like, I don't even want to have this class because no one's going to come, I'm going to replace it with something that sounds super hippie, like, like, I am worthy of success and people want to be around me because I radiate positivity, or something along those lines, something positive. And so I think that all in all, like this is teaching me a lot about how I feel about my team, but also about how I feel about myself. And if you want to actually experience growth in this business, you'll realize that the only thing holding yourself back is you. And it's the worst realization ever, but it teaches you a lot and it helps you grow as a person, which is way more important than being any rank. So maybe I shouldn't have said that, but it happened. So yeah, do 20 and 30. It's super scary and super cool. And you get to do weird dances with us. So does anyone have any questions at all? Specific questions for either one of us? Okay. I had someone who came for the game night sit-in, and he's like my 30-year-old youth leader, and he was like, I want to see the class. And I was like, why? He was like, I just learned a lot. I was like, okay. No questions, guys? I want you to ask me so many personal questions about this process. I know Caroline's thinking the exact same thing. When your friends, oh, sorry, I'm gonna check the classes, one-on-one class first. So the way I structured it, right, was Friday night I had a class, Saturday morning I had a class. I'm doing the same thing later in the month for the people who weren't able to show up, and I split it into inviting 500 to a class and inviting 500 more to a class, just because that just felt like more doable to me, honestly. I had to be honest with myself. and then the leftovers get invited to the second class. But they've all been one-on-one classes, and I'm having a biz 101 in the middle of that I can invite people to as well. When your friends stop responding, how often do you bug them? Do you want to answer that one?
Sure. I don't have any kind of exact formula. I just feel it out based on the relationship. I think that it is important to reframe what you think about as far as bugging them, and coming instead from a just service-minded place, and that you like, for me, I put myself in their shoes a lot and think like, okay, 2 weeks ago, there was this thing that I wanted to buy, and then this, and this happened and got in the way. I forgot, I didn't do it. Well, whatever I wanted to buy, say it's from like Amazon, like no one from Amazon is coming to me and saying, hey, just following up, don't forget about this thing that you were like interested in. Like no one else is doing that. And so it's like a way that we get to serve them and go an extra mile instead. And then as far as what I'll do, I also just try to stay like present in their life. And so if it's like an Instagram connection, I am watching their Instagram stories and very regularly responding, either just like sending the laughing face or like an actual good response that starts other conversations. Because when I start other conversations, I always come back and say like, oh, and by the way, I like keep meaning to do this and I forgot. I'm like, oh, no problem. Like, you want some help doing it tonight? You know, like whatever it takes. So I don't have any kind of number or any set amount of like days to wait in between or anything. I just make it really natural and just focus on the fact that I am serving and trying to help them and give them that really good experience.
Yeah, that was a great answer. It definitely is different for literally everyone, for sure. Does anyone else have any questions? That was a great question, by the way.
Did you already say how many people you talked to every day?
In the beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was 75 people for, I believe, 10 days. I can't remember because maybe it was 12, because it was like day 3 was when you started doing that, according to her post, and then I think you went through day 15, so maybe it was 12. Do you remember, Caroline?
I don't remember. I remember doing like 2 weeks of prep. I'm not sure if every single day was consistent 75, but that was always the goal. I will give a quick tip that Ashley told me about. If you are just looking for people to talk to, one really cool thing to do is to go, if you're growing specifically on social media, is to go into your Instagram followers and just scroll all the way down to the bottom of that and click on the people who have current stories. So they've got that like pink circle around their profile picture. It means they've uploaded something within the last 24 hours. And I just found, again, that responding to what they are already putting out there was way more natural than going to 75 people and kind of just out of the blue saying, hey, what's up? You know, and I do that a lot still. And like, even if I do respond, I was like, oh, wow, this like looks amazing. How have you been? You know, just lead into something. Because I agree, like people are not used to someone just like checking in on them for no reason. So it like makes them feel really good. But that was a really, really great way that made it a lot easier for me to figure out who even are these 75 people that I'm supposed to be talking to, as going to those followers and clicking on the people who already followed me. So we already had some sort of relationship, even if it was just on the internet, and responding to their stuff. And then that always opened up more conversations from there.
Yeah, literally stories are a godsend. And Facebook has stories now too. I don't use Snapchat. I imagine that would be a great outlet too, because it's like only stories. But literally through Facebook and Instagram stories alone, I probably got to day 10, like without reaching out to any new people. And it, like Caroline said, it's so nice because you're like, oh, your cat does look cute in that sweater. Oh, also, where do you live now? Like, it's just like such a weird shift, but it's so easy to talk about them once you like have something to grab onto. I was also going to say that if you watch the videos in the Crown Collaborative, she talks about if you go to your Facebook friends list, like on your profile, go to friends, there's literally a list of all your friends. and you can message them from there without ever like going to a different page. So it's just like a really quick way to do it and ask how you're doing. But again, like using Facebook and Instagram stories is a dream come true. And if you're posting on your Facebook and Instagram stories too, there's a chance that they'll say, wow, I like your swimsuit. And I'm like, thank you, how are you? So that's also like awesome if they do that. Doesn't always happen, but it's a great option. I have never used hashtags, Lauren. I know it's so helpful. I don't really understand it. If you want to understand how to use hashtags, I love Jenna Kutcher. She has this podcast called the Goal Digger Podcast. She's so amazing, like a business person, amazing. She doesn't do Young Living. She's a photographer, and also just a business person, but she's so amazing. But I don't know how to use hashtags. Does anyone else have any advice on hashtags? Maybe you just like click.
Yeah. So if you're just on Instagram and you're searching for like bathroom remodeling, like just because, and then somebody posted their bathroom model and like it has like their diffuser in it and they start talking about it and they put bathroom remodeling in that post, it's going to come up and you're going to see that and you're going to see what they're talking about. So you want to put like as many hashtags on your thing as possible so that when people do search for this random stuff, it's going to pop up.
Yeah, and I feel like I know that to be true, Sammy. I just like have told myself like I should use hashtags, and then I'm like, wow, I didn't start. I don't know why. So it's great advice.
Can I jump in real quick?
And yeah, go for it, Lacey.
So what I learned during the 20 and 30 with the hashtags is to find hashtag, like kind of stick with the same thing. So like find hashtags that match your brand. So like for me, I'm a mom, I like plants, I don't know, whatever it is. So like I have like specific hashtags, and then constantly using those same hashtags, then the people that are also using those hashtags, you'll kind of like see the same people in there. And so what I did with the 20 and 30 is I would click on the hashtags that I used most often, and I would go through and I would find people in that hashtag that I related to, and that's where I would like comment on one of their posts, or I would watch their stories and like, oh, I really love that plant in the background. What is it? You know, whatever, just start a conversation with them. And then now you have a conversation going and you're talking to each other. And then usually like once you get a conversation going with them, a lot of times they'll go follow you, and then you'll be like, oh, okay. So now they're following you. So like, make sure I wouldn't just use like random hashtags, like find things that are specific to like who you are and what you relate to, and then use those on your post, and then click on those and find people within those hashtags to have a conversation with. So that's what I did.
That's really good. Something I'll just add to that is to look at the number of posts that are in the hashtag you're using. So if you went to like hashtag Young Living, there's going to be a couple of million posts on that one because like people have used it so much. So if you do hashtag Young Living on your post, it's going to take about 2 minutes for your post to be way, way, way down on like the feed when someone clicks on that hashtag, and it's going to get totally lost. So I really recommend taking just like an hour or whatever and doing this from your computer because it's just easier than on your phone, and just searching through hashtags. I always start by just finding an account of someone who is like-minded to me and seeing the hashtags they use, and then I'll just like click to new tab and then look at all the other ones, click to new tab, click to new, and just kind of like till I have like 1,000 tabs open, and it's just research basically. And seeing how many posts are on there, and depending on like your amount of followers, you don't want to do anything with more than like 20,000 posts to it maybe. I'm not sure an exact number, but I just really stay away from ones that have tons and tons because that's going to get lost super fast. And then I just make lists on my phone of hashtags. I used to be more organized and kind of group them by like, here's hashtags for when I post about oils. Here's hashtags for when I post about my cats, here's hashtags for when I post about like healthy food, whatever, and that helped a ton to do that. So just taking the time up front to kind of put in that research. So then when you're actually going to post, you just copy and paste and it's easy and they're working for you. You don't have to like think about it too much. And then someone did ask, you find people through hashtags. Michelle asked before that how to keep track of everyone. I am terrible at organization. I don't know if Sydney or someone else. Jennifer Edge did 20 and 30 last month also and was way better at keeping track. Don't ask me for organization stuff, but
I'll tell you how I just kept track of. I think Jennifer was like making a list. I'm like super organized, but I didn't make any sort of list. I literally just kept track of them in my messages. So I would every once in a while, like every few days, I would scroll all the way to the bottom of my messages in Instagram. And then I would just do the same thing over again, like watch their stories and then like comment. And then I would do that all the way through those same people. And so that was the only way I kept it organized, is I was like, well, I'm already having a conversation with them. I just keep them in my Instagram messages and then just scroll through and watch their stories. But I was going to say that about the hashtag thing is that what you were saying, Caroline, about the I try not to have hashtags about oils, because if you do hashtags about oils, then all you're going to find is other young living people, and that defeats the purpose of the hashtag. So maybe if you want to throw in like a few about oils, but you need to find hashtags that have nothing to do with oils so that you can find people that don't already have oils. So make sure that you're finding other ones. And like Caroline said, it really just takes like research. So you're going to have to give yourself a couple hours to just sit down and like find the hashtags that are like good for your brand and your lifestyle. So
yeah, for sure. I also was going to piggyback off of Lacey. I am a crazy organizer. I'm a 2, but my wings 1 and 3 are equal. So my 1 is like thriving in Google Google Sheets. So I just love Google. Google's amazing. So I was using Google Sheets, and I like to organize it according to something that I'm very like goal oriented. So like when I go for a run, I'm like, I just have to run to that pole up there, and then I can start walking, and I just do it again and again till the run's over. So that's kind of what I did mindset wise for this. I did like day one. I think somebody won. I'm not sure. So for day 1, I did 1 through 75. And then day 2, I did 1 through 75. And I also liked that because whenever I typed it in, it automatically would come up with the person's name if I had already followed up with them, which sucked because then I couldn't cheat even like a little bit. But it also like really helped me know who I had already followed up with, because it would just come up again if I started to type in their name in one of the spots. So that helped me stay organized as far as like who I had actually already followed up with. And then I saw a question about how to gain more followers. Yeah, so you can invite them. So I think that really the biggest tip that I can give you for social media is kind of like Caroline said, you want it to be focused towards your brand, because honestly, like it sounds great to sign up the whole world, but the whole world's not going to like you. So trying to sign up the whole world is just kind of a waste of your energy and your time. So I think it was probably Lindsay T. Marino that talked about having 5 things that are like your main things that you post about personally. Mine are like dogs, Jesus, probably oils. Like I like to talk about like a lot of like body image, self-acceptance, confidence stuff. And then like marriage, I talk about that a lot. So like kind of structure your post around 5 things that are really important to you, so that whenever someone, because of that, I remember reading in her book, I think it was probably Getting Noticed, which is a great resource if you want to be better about using social media. And she's a Royal Crown Diamond, so she kind of has the Young Living mindset for sure as an author. But I remember her saying that you'll know that you did a good job when people start tagging you in things that match your 5 things. And I get tagged in dog posts and coffee posts all the time, so I know I'm doing it the right way. But that would probably be my biggest thing to say if you want to have some like new followers. Just make sure you're posting brand specific things so that people can say, oh my gosh, we have that in common. I probably would like oils too, which is the whole point of this call. Does anyone else have any questions? Amanda, you have a few questions?
Yeah, I have like 3. Well, 2
Okay.
are related. Okay, so in regards to hashtags, I want to know, and you guys can just like type your answers in the comments, because I'm just getting started on Instagram. Do you put them at the bottom of your post or do you put them in the comments? Because I've kind of read a little bit online about it, and the last thing that I read was they said, oh, put them in the comments, and that'll generate more interest. And so I tried that a couple times and like no interest. So I was like, is this not working? Is it just maybe my post isn't interesting? I'm not sure. So if you guys can just let me know if you put them in the comments or the post. So my other questions are just in the last couple of days, I've been talking to a couple people, and I would like to know from, you guys can like, unmute yourselves and answer several people. That'd be helpful the more people I hear from. What you guys do or what you recommend. When you've been talking to somebody for a while, like I have a friend that's just an online friend, then we were chatting on the phone. The reason we started chatting on the phone was because she's interested in oils and cats and Young Living, and so I'm really into it with my cats right now. And so we're chatting, and then just about life in general, and she mentions that she has a niece, I think it was, that does Young Living. And I was just like, because like I felt like we're getting close, and then I just don't know how to approach that necessarily. Same thing with my sister. I've been talking to her for not Tori, but another sister. I've been talking to her for a while, and she's interested, but just has told me like now it's not the right time financially, and I think she'll get on board. But she did tell me that like my nephew just started dating a new girl a couple months ago, and she does Young Living, and like I don't know if she does a business, but I'm like, no. So like I feel like I have 2 prospects that might get like yanked from me, and I just don't know if you guys approach it in the way that you're just like upfront with them, like, hey, you can decide who you want to go with, type of a thing. But I don't know. I don't want to miss an opportunity. I don't want to be salesy. So what is the right thing to do in that situation?
So Amanda, I think you're being way too nice about it. I personally think, and I'm a 2 saying that to you, so you should take that as like, whoa. But honestly, I know this is hard because I've been in your same position. I totally know how you feel. You have to think they're signing up with me. You just have to, because if you don't, then you're doing yourself a disservice. Now, I'm not saying you go up to them and you're like, hey, I know that you know someone else that does Young Living, because first of all, you don't even know if they sell. But if you're going into it and thinking like, hey, you should pick me, you should just say, hey, do you want to come to my class? And if they say no, whatever, there's more people in the world. But just approach them like they're any normal person who's never heard about Young Living in their life and wants to learn about the products. And I've had people say no because they know people that sell, and that's fine. You just move on. But I would just encourage you to do that. And then also, I think you said something about someone waiting to sign up. Did you say your sister was waiting? I have a very strict policy that keeps me extremely, I want to say, grounded from like bullying people into buying, because I'm really worried about that with myself. Honestly, I really want to put myself in perspective. Like, always think about that. I never want someone to sign up before they're ready. Why? Because they won't use the products. Like, if they get a starter kit before they're ready, they're going to look at that box and think, that horrible person, Sydney Haines, made me buy that when I didn't even want it. I'm not using those. Guess who's not going to be on ER? Her. Guess who's not going to want to use the products or even experience any of the oils? Her. Because I made her sign up before she was ready, So I always tell people that. I always say, whenever you're ready, I don't want you to sign up before you're ready, because I personally want you to love the products and feel encouraged when you receive your package and excited. And I know that you won't feel that way if you're like buying them when you don't actually have any money, So that was just a side note. What was your other question? Did you have another one?
No, that was just about it. I mean, like, I guess because I've been talking to my sister for so long, what if I didn't say, hey, here's my link when you're ready to sign up? And then, new girlfriend over here starts chatting with her, and then she goes, oh yeah, I'll get started. It's like, did I fail? Did I lose an opportunity? Should I have been more assertive? Should I told her, when you're ready, sign up with me? And like, then with my friend, obviously that's her family member, so she's known her a lot longer than she's known me. So I guess I just, yeah, I don't want to be too nice, but I don't want to be too pushy. I don't want to lose an opportunity.
Yeah.
So
Caroline, have you ever felt like that before?
Yeah, for sure. What helps me is to remember that there's always more opportunity. So I think to just look at it with an abundance mindset of like, maybe this person is not supposed to be on my team, and that's okay. There's more people who are supposed to be on my team, and they will come. So I try to not hold people too tightly. I mean, it's different if it's like your sister, like she should sign up with you over her like son's girlfriend, because they'll break up and then like who knows what happened. But hope they don't. But you're her sister. But with other people, especially if they already know someone else that does the business too, then I think that's a little bit of a bless and release kind of thing too. And just like, if you're like for their team and not for my team, that is okay. I am your friend. I like am still gonna want to talk to you. Like, I'm not gonna ghost you because you didn't buy oils from me. You went with someone else. Like, just being a good human about it mostly is my advice, and not saying you're not, but just thinking really abundantly that if this person is not supposed to be for my team, then there are more people out there who are supposed to come on my team, and keeping your energy there instead of thinking like, oh, I lost an opportunity, and focusing on the loss. Focus on like that there's still so much more out there to gain. Like Sydney said, there's so many more people who are not in Young Living than are in Young Living, and there's endless opportunities still. So as long as you're showing up every day, sorry, the dog's off, you're showing up every day and putting in the work, then like they will come to you. I had someone reach out to me last week that I talked to about oils 3 years ago, and she ghosted me, and I thought, well, she's done, that's fine, like, okay. And then she came back and said, hey, I'm ready now. So like the opportunity is always there, even when we've kind of like written it off in our mind. So that's my advice. I hope that's helpful.
Can I say something on that?
Can I answer her first question? She said something about the hashtag thing. Well, it was something like, what do I do about the hashtag? So I put them in the comments. Was that your question?
Yeah, it was if you put them in the post or in the comments, because I know people do both. And then the latest thing that I read was like, oh, put it in the comments and that'll get more interest. That's just something I came
So
across.
I put them in the comments, but honestly, I don't put like, you can't think like, oh, I'm going to put hashtags in there and then people are going to find me and I'm going to get all these followers. Like, you have to put in the work. You have to use the hashtags, and then you have to go into the hashtag, and then you have to find people in the hashtag to have conversations with. The hashtags don't just bring people to you. Like, it's not going to be like, I put this magic hashtag in and now I have like 20 new followers. You have to actually go into that hashtag and do the work and create conversations and friendships with the people in that hashtag. So put them in there, find the ones you want to use, but then you have to go do the work. So
can I say something on that too? So what was I going to say? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm on my phone. Sorry. I don't usually Zoom from my phone. So one thing that I would say about that, like, it's two things about two different things that you said, but about the hashtags in the comments, I think it makes it look less spammy whenever it's in the comments versus in your posts. Like when they click read more to see your whole post and it's not just filled with hashtags, like it's only the content that you're sharing with them is in the caption of the post. And then also it adds a comment to your post. Like when you hashtag, it's like there's one comment, and a lot of people like comments and likes and things build momentum. So a lot of people are like, oh, someone commented on it, and yeah, maybe they'll click on it and see, but sometimes they don't even click on it and see. Sometimes they just throw their comment on it, and then you've got more and more comments, going on your post. So that's one thing that I've seen about the hashtags. And then the other thing that I always teach my girls is that like you build that relationship because it's a relationship that like you want to build, and that relationship matters whether there's a sale there or not. And so this has happened with me 2 times. One of the girls ended up being a business builder of mine, and she was using oils. I started almost 2 years ago with the business. This girl was using oils for over 10 years, Young Living oils for over 10 years, never signed up with anybody, just bought oils from like people with one oil here, one oil there, or whatever. And then she signed up with me. And it was because I was consistent with the relationship, and I knew she's been buying oils from other people, but I also knew she doesn't sign up with anybody in 10 years, right? And so I was like, this is a relationship that matters. And I built that relationship, and I kept going with that relationship regardless if oils were involved or not. We talked about our dogs, we talked about, whatever. And then she signed up with me. There's another girl on social media who, like, she runs a podcast. She knows a whole bunch of people. She has all these followers, blah, blah, blah. She knows other people who sell oils too. But again, I was just like consistent with that relationship. And that has been what has made people like that, who know a bunch of people who sell oils or have been using oils for a long time, go with my team, because you're at that point, you're not marketing the oils, you're marketing yourself, right? You're showing like why it matters, because you show up, because you care about them as a person, and you also care about providing education resources for them. So anytime they had a question about, the one or two oils they have, I was like, put my all in and giving them like, yes, you can use it this way. This is how you can use it. Do you need any more help? Like, this is a great resource. Like, I was very available. And those are the types of things that, again, it's like marketing myself. They have lots of options where they can get the oils, and they know they like the oils, but like, I had to show like what makes me different, and the consistency in the relationship, and showing that relationship mattered regardless of a sale, I think is what like just is a game changer in that type of situation.
Yes, all of that is so freaking good. Carissa, you are so cute. I think we'd be friends in real life. Bummer that we don't live beside each other, but whatever. Okay, anybody else? We have like 3 minutes. Rapid fire questions. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, we all live with each other on social media, so you can literally message anybody anytime and ask a question. Oh,
I was gonna just say something, not necessarily a question, but I had struggled with like how to talk to people in the beginning when I first started the Living business. I've been doing it for almost 4 years now, and I learned that when people are saying no or whatever, or maybe not responding or something, it's usually like a not right now, right? We know that, and so. And in regards to Amanda's question, I think what I learned was just leaving an open door, like, and so whenever the conversation ends, ask as many questions as you can, find out why they're saying no, what's holding them back, and then always like showing compassion for whatever that is that they're, whatever their obstacle might be, and say, you know what, I understand, I've been there, I'm here for you, and just kind of ending it on a note where they know that you're there for them, and you're not like pushing them, but you're saying, hey, when you're ready, I'm here, whether that is support in life or when they're ready to get their oils, and they know that, and make sure that that's pretty clear, that at the end the door is open and you're there for them, whatever it may look like. So
yeah, that's super good. Super important. Anybody else for the good cause? Actually, we have a minute. I'm going to be respectful of your time, mostly because it's 10:30 and I want to sleep. So thank you guys so much for coming.